Hey you guys, what's going on? My name is Rye Reed, the writer. Getting my tea real quick. So let's talk about it. Madam Web. What a web to weave. Sony got themselves in a sticky situation. Let me see if I have one more. I don't know. It just was not that great. It wasn't that great. I'm not here to do a review on the movie. I'll do that in a different video. I just have other questions that I asked the internet. And the main question I had was, why was Madam Web made? Why? Wait, let me get closer to you. Let me put my tea down. Just look at me in my face. Just look at me in my face. Why? Like, why? That was my biggest question. Is out of all the Spiderverse, spider characters in Spider-Man, why was Madam Web given a movie? And that question alone kept me up for a couple of days. It truly did. Before the movie even came out on Valentine's Day, which is and also in the middle of February. The middle of February. This movie came out on a Wednesday. Why? So many why questions. Like, why are they making a Kraven the Hunter movie without Spider-Man? Why? Why are they making Venom movies without Peter Parker? Why? Like, why did they make Morbius? Somebody tell me. Somebody tell me why. Like, why? Like, why are they doing this? Then why are they making these movies so bad? Like, the movies don't have to be bad. Like, I saw clips and bits and pieces of Madam Web. Like, I saw the first 10 minutes, then, cause like the internet, like I didn't even have to pay to go to the movie theater to go see it, and I normally would. I'm a supporter of cinema. I do believe if it's a good movie, you should go pay to go see it. But I already knew internally in my spirit, you know, using my clairvoyancy, right? I knew, like, I had the foresight to know that this movie wasn't going to be good. And me spending 25 bucks for my ticket, then another 25 bucks for mom's ticket, then paying for popcorn, paying for Takis, paying for some Snickers, paying for some M&Ms, then getting like a Coca-Cola Icy. This movie wasn't worth 100 bucks. Like, it didn't deserve it. So I went through the internet and I found like long segments of the movie. So I saw the first 10 minutes. I saw all the fight scenes, or whatever you would consider them fight scenes. I saw the girls doing CPR, which was really random. I got to see a lot of Dakota Johnson's personality, and she is funny. She has a very funny and witty personality. Like, she has that like Aubrey Plaza type of like dry humor. Like, that's like Dakota Johnson, like, in a nutshell. Like, that's her personality type. Like, it reminds me almost of what's his name? Funny Marco. It's like, it's comedic. It's like it's a dry comedic style, and that's kind of what she's giving me. But I'm pretty sure for her, when she read the script, then once she was on set, like, she had no choice but to like relay that type of energy for the type of BS this was. Then I saw the fight scene where Ezekiel died by the Pepsi peace sign. So, and I did see a lot of the what? I saw a lot of the advertisement. Why? So I'm like, I know Sony got paid from having like Pepsi logos everywhere, and I saw the Beyonce like little thing too. Then I saw when Madam Web lost her vision. And also that fight scene where Madam Web was like, I don't know, what would you call it? It was like a, what is it? Like the advertisement billboard? Like that thing, but the Pepsi Cola. She was on like the iron, I don't know what you would call them. But you know, like the iron stilts that like hold up the signs? She's sitting there and all the girls are in different locations on like this billboard of like Pepsi. And they're getting ready to like fall to their doom and die. Then Ezekiel tells her like, you can't save them all. Like you can't save them all. And instead of being a villain and attacking Madam Web, because she's like right in front of him. Like Madam Web is perplexed, standing on this like iron beam, looking at all the girls to save. And what does she do? She uses her clairvoyance abilities somehow, like, but it's like a web, and she projects herself to each one of the girls and picks them up, but yet the villain is standing on the beam watching her rescue the girls. Like he gave her literally, like, it had been like 4 minutes to think everything through and like her plot her next move. But he just stood there watching her. What's going on at Sony? Like, what's really happening over there? I'm really disturbed. I'm really disturbed. Then I saw the ending of the movie where Madam Web lost her vision, right? So she has this like protective eye, you know, set up. She's sitting in the hospital bed. The girls are all surrounded by her, right? And, you know, because it's, I think it's just because it's Dakota Johnson, like, it's her tone. The tone ruins what Madam Web should be. Because Madam Web should be a very, like, in-depth, wise, deep, you know, like a sensei type of figure. But because it was Dakota Johnson, like, talking, and like it was just her tone, it was so funny. Like, and it should have been funny because she lost her vision and she's handicapped. Like I should have been in a situation where she should have felt really sad, and the girls around her should have been like, you know, the tone should have been more somber. But because it was Dakota Johnson, and one of the girls asked her was like, do you need anything, right? Like, do you need anything? Then Dakota Johnson goes, I have everything I need right here. Why? Like, right? And the girls are just like, yeah. They just turn around the hospital bed, like, and Dakota Johnson is like, what? Dakota Johnson is like smiling in the bed. But she's handicapped. She lost her vision. Why? Sony, what's going on? And it got worse. I'm crying, y'all. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy I'm not wearing any concealer today. Like, I can just cry peacefully, just wipe my eyes. Then, at the ending of the movie, so they put Madam Web in this, like, this electric wheelchair. And like, she's staring, because that's her ability. It's clairvoyancy. She can see into the future, like the webs, and she's connected to all the Spider-Men, all the Spider-Women, Spider people. And she's just staring out this window, smiling, with like the headgear, like little glasses or whatever, right? Looking like, bro, looking like Cyclops. And the girls come inside like their apartment space, and they're eating Chinese food, and it was such a weird thing. I can't remember the line. They said something. It was so freaking funny. Like it cracked me up. No. Madam Web like told one of the girls, like, you know, bless you, and the girl sneezes, and it was just then she had a spill of her telling all the girls why she's proud of them, like, you know, you're gonna do amazing stuff. Then in her electric wheelchair, she like turns around back to the window. Like, what? What I've gathered from the movie, what I've gathered is there's no action. There's action, but majority of it isn't action. There's a CPR scene, and Dakota Johnson taught them how to do CPR for a minute. Yeah, this movie is, just from what I've gathered and what I've seen, it's a mess, but it's funny. Like, I was dying last night watching those clips be put together. Like, it was really funny. Then the most egregious thing was that Ezekiel, the villain, like in one scene when he was in that lab or something, and this movie is based in 2003, right? So he has this massive computer. I guess his assistant is like trying to find these girls, right? They have the technology for that. But I'm like, where did they get all these computers? And why did the computers look like this in 2003? Right? But anyway, he was talking, Ezekiel was talking, but his mouth wasn't open. I don't know. 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 But yeah, I had that question was, why did Sony make Madam Web? And if they knew it was going to be this bad, why did they even go away with it? Go with it. And I found this article. It's by The Ringer. This is going to be really good for you because it's going to give you a lot of insight, which it gave me, as to why these horrible flicks of characters from the Spider-Man universe keep getting put out. Because, you know, I had that question. So the article is titled, "There's a Reason Sony's Spider-Man Universe is Frankly Bizarre." And it is bizarre. The article goes, Madam Web is the latest Sony Spider-Man Universe movie to emanate serious what the F vibes, which was kind of inevitable considering the studio's strategy for the franchise. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So here we go. The article goes, I'm just skipping down. Over the summer, Sony will release Kraven the Hunter, an R-rated origin story for the Spider-Man villain, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson. Kraven the Hunter is far enough out that it's hard to know what to make of the movie. The movie, I saw the preview to it. It doesn't look bad, but because of Sony's track record, because of what was Morbius, and Morbius was really bad. It was really bad. Like, Jared Leto could not even save the movie, but the movie was bad. But to me, what killed it, what put the nail in the coffin, is having a Spider-Man Peter Parker villain without Spider-Man Peter Parker. So you had a villain, but you made him an anti-hero, which he kind of is. Morbius isn't like purely evil. He's been mutated, and any characters in the Spider-Man universe that usually get mutated, or a tragic accident that you know transforms them into some type of creature or superhuman entity, they typically lose their mind, right? But with Morbius, it didn't make any sense. The movie was really bad. So let me see. Let me keep it going. Kraven the Hunter. But yeah, why have Sony? You own the rights. I know they're sharing the rights of Spider-Man with Marvel, but y'all gotta figure out something else. This isn't working. So Kraven the Hunter is far out that it's hard to know what to make of the movie. All we have is a glory trailer to go off. The same can't be said for Madam Web, which premieres on Valentine's Day, which is a horrible day to release a Marvel movie that has nothing to do with love or romance on a Wednesday, portraying a character that no one knows. Like, who out there actually knows who Madam Web is? Unless you are like a diehard Marvel's fan like me. Like, I love Marvel and I love Spider-Man. I grew up watching the cartoons, and not the spectacular Spider-Man cartoons, like the newer stuff with the Avengers and all that. I grew up watching the 1991 or 2, I think it's 92 Spider-Man. I wasn't even born yet. I wasn't even born yet. And that was my first introduction to Spider-Man, was that cartoon series, which was phenomenal. Like the writing, the characters, Kingpin. I got so engrossed into Spider-Man based off that cartoon, like even before the, no, it was around the time when the Sam Raimi movie came out featuring Tobey Maguire, that Spider-Man. I was still a little girl, I was in elementary school, but I loved Spider-Man before that movie came out. Like, I had a Spider-Man themed birthday party before, like, around that time then. But that's how much of a fan I am of just Marvel in general. But normal fans, normal people don't know who Madam Web is. It was just a bad pick of the litter, right? So let me get into it. The same can't be said for Madam Web, which premieres on Valentine's Day. It has been ridiculed by just about everyone in the lead up to its release, even Madam Web herself. That's facts. To understand why Madam Web has turned into the laughingstock, look no further than its notoriously tacky trailer, which features Dakota Johnson delivering the immortal line, "He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died." If memes actually translated to box office success, Madam Web is shaping up to be the new Avatar. I just want you guys to just hear that line. This is from the movie. And keep in mind, the writers who were involved with this movie, maybe they made 6 figures. Maybe they made 7 figures, 8 figures, who knows? But this movie cost millions of dollars for them to execute this line. This line. He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died. Do you believe that? Someone got paid for delivering that action-packed, exposition-filled line. But that was the best they had at Sony. He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died. Oh my gosh. The researching spiders line, an algorithmic preposition stuffed chunk of exposition, is just one example of the cursed vibes emanating from Madam Web. What else? Well, Madam Web's costume was initially revealed on an ocean spray bottle. Golly. Johnson is promoting the film with all the enthusiasm of a hostage video, and a Sony teaser was poorly edited to make it seem like the villain would literally explode. Wow. Wow. I don't even know what to say, you guys. Here, there's another line. So blatant that one journalist opened their third eye and speculated that Madam Web's marketing is deliberately terrible, which is giving Sony a lot of credit. That is crazy. It said deliberately terrible. Yet that trailer was a farce. It was a lie. The movie only had action of the Spider-Girls for like 10 seconds. It was so quick. And it wasn't even like the girls actually fighting. Like the girls never did anything. They ran around like the whole movie. The girls only had an action scene and memories. In Ezekiel's like memory or future like vision of that the girls would eventually kill him. And Madam Web at the end. I'm gonna cross my hands. I'm gonna cross my arms. Madam Web had a vision of the girls fighting at the end of the movie. There were no spider activities going on. There were no girl spider activities going on, but it was pushed in the trailer. So that just tells me alone, Sony was capping on you guys. Sony was capping on you guys. Sony pretty much made a horrible movie, which is funny to me. The movie is funny. It shouldn't be funny, but it's funny to me because of Dakota Johnson. And they pushed this movie out. They had to have known that it wasn't going to be good, but the money was already lost. Instead of shelving it, right, like they did with what was it, the Batwoman movie that they were going to make, but like DC Warner was like, hell no, take that ish out of here, take that out of here, right? And throwing it away, Sony said, you know what, we're going to make our money and we're going to see what happens. Like really is the WTF things for real. And they put together that trailer knowing that it was a farce, knowing that there was no action like that, knowing that the girls weren't going to be having all these superhero climactic moments. They were going to be running around doing CPR, like just doing that, but yet they put that trailer together to look like that, to entice you to go watch it and pay your money to go see a movie like that. That's what is going on, you guys? Like, is anyone mad that movies and production companies are seeping so low to get you to come out to the theaters to see their bad movies by lying to you through the trailers? Like, I haven't seen one person, or maybe there is, but I haven't seen one YouTuber or TikToker talk about that. Like, are we not mad that Sony lied, essentially? That they made that trailer and it wasn't truly what the movie was about? It's kind of like what they did with the Barbie movie as well. They didn't put any of the like, you know, what was it? Put any of those, like, I don't want to say agenda based, but you know what I mean, like those plot points of what the movie was really about in Barbie inside like the trailers. The trailers set it up that this was going to be like a comedy movie, right? Like it was just going to be a fun, whimsical, dancing, singing, which it was. But the heart of like the Barbie movie was like the patriarchy. There we go. I was trying to think of the word, but it's the patriarchy and how we hate that, and like men, you know, men are like beasts almost, right? And we need to like get rid of them. Like they'll ruin everything. We need to have women be in power. Like we need to have a matriarch system instead of a patriarch system, which is fine. That's fine, but it wasn't in the trailer. So it's like, that's what I'm saying. This is giving me the same vibes. Because I'm telling y'all, when I was watching the movie last night, I did not see the trailer energy inside the movie. The movie was completely different. So I don't know. I feel like we need to get more mad about that, but I guess we are, since people aren't going to go see these movies anyway. Like, people are choosing to like fight what these production companies are doing by not spending their money with them anymore, which you absolutely shouldn't do. I would say that you absolutely should not do. This movie that is funny, it has a lot of good scenes. I probably will do a video maybe where I do like an in-depth of everything. But would I tell you to spend your hard-earned money to see something like this? Like, unless you want to laugh, but if you're looking for a true good superhero flick about Madam Web, just wait. Just wait for streaming in like 2-3 weeks. Like, just wait. Okay, so let me keep reading. So it goes, it feels like the films were made out of a sense of obligation rather than any sincere artistic intent, as if an advanced AI program were mandated to create something from a tired collection of superhero tropes. The scary thing is that it's not too far from the truth. So ever since Sony acquired the film rights of Spider-Man, and many characters associated with him. From Marvel in 1999, the studio has been in the superhero business. Marvel was so cash-strapped back then that Sony had the opportunity to buy most of its superhero roster for as little as $25 million, which is one hell of a Hollywood what if. I'm pretty sure Marvel is slapping themselves, but they didn't know. They didn't know how big Marvel was going to be. And Marvel was big when Spider-Man was coming out in the early 2000s. But this is where I can give credit to Iron Man, because Iron Man was the catalyst. Like, it started off the whole Marvel Adventure franchise. They didn't realize that people were so interested in Marvel that it was a billion-dollar franchise. They didn't know it at the time. Let me get a little bit of tea. Yeah, this is something else. To Sony's credit, the studio got off to a terrible start. The first two entries of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy starring Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker are still among the best comic book adaptations ever made. But after Spider-Man 3, yeah, no one liked it. No one liked Spider-Man 3. I liked it. Peter Parker slapping... Peter Parker being abusive, that was tough. That was tough. I don't know how you get back from that. Him slapping that woman, he slapped her good. Sony did a hard reset with Andrew Garfield taking over the title role. The Garfield-led Amazing Spider-Man movies didn't turn out at all as amazing, so Sony went back to the drawing board again. This time electing to partner with the ascendant Marvel Cinematic Universe. Through 3 standalone films and several appearances in MCU crossover events, the Tom Holland Spider-Man era has been a crowd-pleasing return to form. But for all the goodwill Sony built from its MCU partnership, as well as 2 beloved Spider-Man films with a game-changing animation style, the studio is caught in something of a devil's bargain. As the Ringer's Joanna Robinson explained in an appearance in NPR's Planet Money, Sony's deal requires that the studio to commence production on a new Spider-Man project within 3 years and 9 months of the preceding movie's release. Basically, if Sony wants to hold on to arguably its most valuable piece of IP, it must continue greenlighting Spider-Man or Spidey-adjacent films in perpetuity. So that's why we're getting a Madam Web film. This is why this is happening. They're between a rock and a hard place. They have to continue pumping out the Spider-Man projects. And there's only so many directions you can go with Spider-Man. Like with the Peter Parker story. To me, if I were like, if I was working for Sony, I would continue to push for different ages of Spider-Man, right? And I wouldn't even use all those side characters in given movies. I think that's like doing Spider-Man a disservice, because those characters are best used, it's like I said, adjacent with Spider-Man and Peter Parker and his story, because those villains are part of Peter Parker's like growth and development. Every villain that Spider-Man Peter Parker faces alters a bit of him and leads him, whether it's closer to Aunt May, closer to like Mary Jane's relationship. He develops a better like sense of like, you know, personal self-worth. He battles through his depression. There was like a couple episodes in the earlier Amazing Spider-Man, like in the 1990s one, where Peter Parker was actually like mutating because he was bit by a spider. Like it was a slow burn, but he was mutating, and because of his interactions with it was a couple characters. I can't remember if it was Blade. I don't think it was Blade. I think it was the Punisher in that cartoon episode. But the Punisher and Morbius, I believe, also helped, like, you know, reconvert Peter Parker back into a human with like a special antidote. But you see what I'm saying? These characters, even though they're villains, they do in some aspects join and help Spider-Man in his own like self-growth. So having these characters aside from Peter Parker, it does everyone a disservice. It does Peter Parker a disservice, and it does the villains as well, because they both don't get that interaction. Plus, they don't get that character development between themselves. Now, as we know, these villains, even though they are quote-unquote villains, they're also people who are struggling with their families. Like, for example, the Sandman, he has issues with his daughter, that bond and stealing and thievery, but because of Spider-Man, like, he's choosing like the higher ground, but he's mutated, you know what I'm saying? Shocker as well has a very like sad story. We get to see more about Kingpin's like, you know, wife and his son and his relations, the Hobgoblin, the Green Goblin, but it's all intersected because of Peter Parker. So having these characters not be in the same universe and using them together, what's the point? Like, truly, what's the point? But yeah, I would use those characters in the Spider-Man universe. I would continue to let Spider-Man age. Like, we need to move away from Spider-Man being in high school and let Spider-Man be an adult. Like, let's really get to see Spider-Man as an adult, as a husband, as him having a wife, him having children, and dealing with like these villains. But like, let's see Spider-Man in his 20s and 30s really battle it out in New York, in the Bronx, right? Him being a superhero with all this chaos and him being like the light in the dark place. And also throw on some interactions with Fantastic Four. Like, that's what I'm saying. People, I read the comic book where Peter Parker was like the first issues where he was first introduced to like the Fantastic Four, and he was wearing that paper bag thing. So I don't know. That's what I would do if I worked for Sony. I wouldn't keep pushing out these like independent movies of these Spider-Man characters. But that's just me. I don't work there. I'm just a YouTuber. So let me keep reading. Let me see. So basically, if Sony wants to hold on to arguably its most valuable piece of IP, it must continue greenlighting Spider-Man or Spidey-adjacent films in perpetuity. And since golden handcuffs, basically. And since there are only so many ways to tell a story about a teenager getting bitten by a radioactive spider before learning that great power comes with great responsibility, the studio is scraping the bottom of the barrel. Former Sony Pictures head Amy Pascal laminated that this strange state of affairs in the company's infamous WikiLeaks email hack, writing, "I only have the Spidey universe, not the Marvel universe. And in it are only his villains and relatives and girlfriend. Sheesh, sheesh. We are now firmly in the villains and relatives stage. No! No! No. Could you imagine them making a Aunt May movie? I saw what they're doing with this movie. They threw in Uncle Ben. But imagine Sony having an Aunt May movie because they ran out of things to do. Like, they just had nothing else left. So we're in the villains and relatives stage of Sony's Spiderverse. Adam Scott widely tipped to be playing a younger Uncle Ben in Madam Web's, and it's no great secret that these movies are part of a brazen attempt to hold on to the rights of the financial gold mine. What's more, Peter Parker himself has barely factored into these offshoots. Holland's character makes only a cameo in the mid-credit scenes from Venom, Let There Be Carnage, which was the worst one. While Michael Keaton's Vulture doesn't do the same in Morbius to tease potential Sinister Six team-up that may never happen. Because how can it happen without Tom Holland? But Tom Holland, that Spider-Man, is primarily in the MCU. So what are they doing? Holland, for his part, sounds iffy on returning from another Spider-Man film unless it's worth the while of a character. Suffice it to say, I'm not sure any of these spin-offs will have Holland clamoring to don the Spidey suit again. Sheesh. Oh, one more part, you guys. So what does that mean going forward? Well, it should only be a matter of time before Sony capitalizes on the universal claim of for the Spiderverse series with a live-action Miles Morales movie. Yeesh. As a fellow Miles, I will also support such endeavors. But on the whole, it's hard to shake the feeling that the creative well has run dry for Sony. The studio trapped in a 6 million loop. Yo, this article is so funny. Where every iteration of Spider-Man pushes back the termination of the character's film rights. A movie like Madam Web is the cinematic equivalent of hitting the snooze button. Box office performance notwithstanding its ultimate value to Sony is helping delay the inevitable. Wow. So that's where we're at, you guys. We are there. That's where we're at. Sony will have to continue pushing out Spider-Verse based movies every 3.5 years, and there's only so many movies you can make about Peter Parker. There's only so many directions you can go about a teenage boy. So what they're gonna keep doing is they're on the villains and relative stage, and they're going to keep milking this udder until there's nothing else left but destruction at this point. Because, yeah, if we're getting a Madam Web film, there's nothing left. Because what's next? Like I said, an Aunt May. I know, like, the earlier versions comics, I think Aunt May was a spy or something, so maybe. But you're going to have an Aunt May movie. You're going to keep using villains, but without Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's over there at the MCU. And them even mentioning a live-action Miles Morales. You can quote me on this. Give them 10 years. Give them 10 years. 10 years from now, I can almost bet on it that they're going to do a Miles Morales live action. I can bet on it. Disney's already at that point. Disney has ran out of creativity. And they're making live actions. Like, they're doing a live action Moana. They're doing a live action Moana. And it just came out, like 2016. So mark my words, there's going to be a Miles Morales live action. They're going to somehow mess that up, I believe. Unless you get the right writers and the right creative team. But at the end of the day, Miles Morales is like a spin-off of Peter Parker, because that's what it is. But yeah, that's what we're going to get, you guys. So the most I can tell you is anticipate more standalone Sony movies of villains you may or may not know. Because we've seen Vulture, we've seen Morbius, and Vulture didn't get his own standalone movie, but I mean he was in the MCU movie, but it was hinted in Morbius that he would be over there. We're getting Kraven the Hunter. We got Madam Web. We saw Ezekiel, but without Peter Parker. What's next, you guys? What's next? But yeah, if you like this video, like, share, subscribe. If you saw Madam Web, tell me about it down below. Do you think it's worth it? How did you feel about it? I'm just tired, you guys. I really am. As a Marvel fan, I'm really tired. I don't know why they keep doing this. Like, why they keep making really bad movies, and why they keep hiring writers that have no interest in Marvel. Like, they're not even passionate about it. Like, why would you do that? It's like hiring someone to make a Star Wars movie, but they don't like Star Wars. Or they've never read a Star Wars, like, anything, or watched a Star Wars movie, or played a Star Wars video game. I don't get it. Like, I really don't get it. But this is where we're at. It's a money grab at this moment. And I called it because Madam Web, it was not necessary. They should have just scrapped this movie if it was gonna be made this bad. They should have just scrapped it. They honestly should have just scrapped it. It's funny, the movie's funny, but it's not what it should be, and that's the problem. But yeah, let me know if you're gonna go see the movie and how you feel about it. I'm just disappointed, you guys. It's funny, it really is. It's funny, but nah. But yeah, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you for the next video. And how I know this, because I can see into the future. I can see it. You're gonna do great things. Let me pretend like I'm Madam Web. God, I wish I had some glasses in here. Man, I should have did that for this video. Like, I'm just gonna do the wheelchair thing. You know, you're gonna do some great, amazing things. And she did the little wheelchair. She did like this, look. She smiled too, and she went.